going to do a quick rundown of the original prototype that I made. So this is the one that I made, and this is like a double-decker sticker dispenser. And as you can see, it's just like you get your two options here. And this is, you know, I learned a couple things doing this. I saw a TikTok about someone who had one of the, like a similar thing to this at their vendor market booth. And they had like a little coin slot on the bottom where you could put in like a token or, you know, whatever the coin was for their purchase price. And it wasn't an actually operational coin slot, but then you just did something similar to this to stick it out. And she said she just got a kit off Amazon. And then when I looked it up, I'm like, $23 for some cardboard. So I just did some YouTube hunting and found a couple different videos that would basically get the same mechanisms that I needed going, and just kind of created this out of like an amalgamation of all of the things that I just kind of researched. So yeah, your supplies that you're gonna want is, I found a box that's pretty similar to this size. Today I'm just gonna show you how to do a single slot one. So obviously you can just duplicate that process on the other level later if you want to have it double. Very, very similar in size. And yeah, I learned a couple things from doing this one. So I'll be able to, you know, show you all the right way to do it, learning from my own mistakes. So this is basically going to, you're going to work on it so that the opening flap side is facing you, and the side to your left is going to be the front of it. So just keeping that in mind. What the first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and cut off these shorter flaps, because this is going to help us create sort of like a ramp that the stickers or prints or whatever are going to kind of go down. Oh, another thing that you might want that I didn't mention is just some extra cardboard, which if you're anything like me, you have an excess of cardboard right now from all the Black Friday deliveries you've been getting. So yeah, just go ahead and take off the short sides of this, because these longer flaps are gonna want to seal it closed once we're done. Another thing I wish I hadn't done was seal this thing completely in contact paper. I mean, I could always just slit it open and open it up if I needed to do any like repairs, but future me would have that still be opening and just be able to like tape it shut when you don't want it to be opened. But so now, yeah, we just take off these pieces, and this should basically, between the two we're going to use, and we're going to be able to create the ramp from that. So essentially what's happening is, you know, inside of this thing, once we cut this like diagonally, those triangles are going to create a little ramp that the stickers sort of slide down. So this one, I ended up making the ramp a little too steep, and now the stickers just like want to come out too fast. So what I learned from that is it doesn't need to be at like a super harsh incline, but we'll get to that at that step. So yeah, the first thing you're going to want to do is just go ahead, and hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing, and just do sort of a diagonal cut on this short piece of cardboard. And yeah, other than decorating the box, you should be able to build this no problem within an hour. First time I did it, it took a while just because I was doing a lot of trial and error sort of stuff. Speaking of the first time I did it, I made the ramp sit on right on top, and then I realized like the stickers could fall off on the sides. So you do want a little bit of like a lip here, so that you can keep the stickers in place. My stickers are, I have a measuring tape on my hand. So these are 2 inches by 3-inch stickers. They're just like labels or whatever. So you don't want your ramp to be too much wider than your stickers when they're coming out long ways, like a portrait style, just because they can like twirl around and they become kind of a mess in there. So for this one, I might even just trim it just a wee bit. So there's only like maybe a 1/4 inch or so on each edge. So then that makes this 2.5 inches since the sticker, well, with the outside of the sticker, let's just go, yeah, 2.5, a little bit more than that is what I'm going to do. So, luckily this has a nice straight edge to it. So I'm going to keep the straight edge of the cardboard and then just cut along the crappy edge that I used my knife to just kind of willy-nilly cut. So a little bit more than 2.5 inches is going to be all right here. And make sure you're using a sharp blade or this gets very tedious because you have to keep going over and over again. Yeah, that's good. One pass through. And then, so you've got your ramp parts here. So what you need to actually do is make it so that the bottom part of the ramp is basically touching the top of this, and then it goes down to like an incline, so it's not evenly showing the like ramp edges. It like kind of goes at a slope to the 0 point, if that makes any sense, because you do want this rubber part to, or the roller part, to be able to make contact basically with the bottom of the ramp. So if it's too far down, it's not going to touch it. So yeah, why I have tape is so that I can kind of mock it up where I want it to be with the painter's tape and then glue it once without having to like rip it apart and whatnot. So if this needs to be right flush with the edge of it, you also want the tip of it to also be flush. So you don't want the ramp going out further, like the edges of the ramp going out further than the actual ramp. If anything, actually, you probably want the ramp itself going out like a teeny bit further than the edges of the ramp. So that being said, I'll probably leave like, I don't know, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch sticking off of the edge, and then just right where they kind of meet, I'll tape that so that keeps it pretty flush right there. You guys see it okay? And so the tip, the little pointy tip of the triangle is there, and then there's about like 1/4 to a 1/2 inch after. And then so now when I kind of open that up, that's kind of going to give me a bit of like, you know, wiggle room for the angle. And so again, all you're really wanting to do with this angle is, or the edges, is just keep the stickers from sliding out. So you don't need a huge gap or ledge. So that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna quickly mark this line so I know where to glue it back. My hot glue gun is heated up already. And so yeah, that is good to go. So now if I just keep that there, I think that looks pretty good. And so I'm just gonna, no, you guys can't see, sorry. So this is kind of where I'm at here, is on the back side. I'm gonna glue on this back side because I don't want any of the glue residue to be on the top of the ramp, because that's gonna cause friction and keep it from sliding well. So just make sure everything looks good, and then I'm gonna do this just on the back edge. Just hold it for a sec while it dries. And then you do have a little bit of, I think this is a pretty low temperature hot glue gun, so I do have some room to kind of move it before it fully sets. And then that looks pretty good to me. So see how there's a bit of a lip here, and then it goes down to basically 0, and then the ramp kind of extends a little further than the edge. This is only the second one of these that I'm making, so, you know, I guess we'll find out if making it go further than the edges of the ramp was a good idea or not, but it's all about trial and error. all good as long as it functions, right? So then basically I want to kind of mirror this measurement onto my other side. So if that is meeting up on the back edge, then I can see kind of right where this ramp part starts, and then I can kind of just eyeball where that corner should like land. And then that's gonna again go to 0. So if I'm doing it this way, I kind of want to, I'll tape it again just so that it's secure on the other end and we can make sure it's in the right spot. And, you know, hold it like this so you make sure it's all level as well, like hold it upright. So now we're basically, you're seeing this ramp just kind of get built and brought to life. So if that's about, let's see if these are even the same size. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that looks pretty good right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and tape that there. And then you want to make sure, you know, importantly, that the bottom of the ramp is like touching the table or the ground or whatever, because if that's lifted up, then it's going to just make it harder for you to like push out the stickers. So then now again, going to go from the back side and only glue the underside of the ramp so that we don't get glue on the top of the ramp. So making sure it all still looks even. All right, here we go. Now we just throw a bead of glue in there. And see, I noticed some that got to the front. I don't want that to be causing grip. So hold it for a sec while it dries. All right. So essentially, this is the ramp that is going to be on the inside of your box. And so, like I said, if this is going to be the front of your box, this ramp would slide in right there. And so you're going to want to center that into the like bottoms part of the box. And then we're going to also mark on the back and the front of the box. On the front of the box, you're going to mark where the slot where the stickers should be coming out, like the width and, you know, a little height. And then on the back side, what you're going to be measuring is going to be where you're going to kind of create a little door on the back here, which allows you to refill the stickers easily down this ramp. And see, I had to make some modifications. I made the ramp too big earlier, so I had to put some popsicle sticks so that it wouldn't just like, they wouldn't just go everywhere. And so again, like I wish I hadn't closed all this off. But so yeah, essentially this is what we're doing. And then here it's fitting pretty good and snug, but I'm just going to go ahead and mark where the outer edge of the ramp lays in the box so that it's like pretty centered. And then, yeah, the outer parts of this, because we're going to make like a swinging door situation. So just make sure that you have enough slack on this side so that this like fold still functions properly. So I'm giving it basically like, you know, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch. I can straighten those up later. But yeah, so if you can see, I just kind of drew on the inside of the door or the inside of the box where that little door is going to be. And then on the front side where the little slit is going to be where the stickers come out of. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay.
No, I'm making this along with you, and I think I glued the ramp wrong the first way, but I think I fixed it.
Yeah, and the triangles, the first time I did it, I was like, oh, I keep doing it on the wrong side of the triangles. And that was kind of my problem the first few times. So
that's what I did.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you just want to make sure that the 90-degree angle is at the bottom back of the ramp. So that's a good tip of this. I don't know what kind of triangle I was good at geometry when I did it, but I think it's like isosceles. I don't know, whatever. And as you can see on this side, the tip of the ramp went further than this one. So I don't really know if it's going to matter. We'll see. So essentially what you're going to do with the extra cardboard that you got is create sort of like a inner structure for your paper towel tube by just creating some strips that are basically, you know, the measurement of that, which the standard one seems to be like, I don't know, 1.75 inches. So I'll just get a strip of that. If you want to, before you start doing that, like kind of get a gauge of how big or deep you're going to need those pieces to be. You can kind of do this. So I can kind of see that it's like this third ring is where the edge of this box is. So to be safe, I'll probably just cut it at the fourth ring, which I think I just cut one tube in half for both of these. And I would say that they're a little longer than I needed them to be and didn't realize that until after I'd glued everything on, which is why I got more substantial handles on them. This was on before, but they just didn't seem big enough for how long the tubes were sticking out. So just keep that in mind with whatever you're going to use as the handle. The pill bottle top, these kind of pill bottles work really well because they literally just fit perfectly inside of this. And so these ones just have empty bottles like this glued inside of the tube. So if you are going to do that method and not just like the lid of something, because you can also just do it with the lid as well. You can just fit the tube perfectly in there and glue it. But I found this was going to be a little bit more stable in my opinion. So I did that. So if you are going to use a pill bottle like that, just make sure that, you know, after you cut your tube to length, you're only using as much of this needed so that it's not going to be like pushing this out further. So I feel like I just said a word salad, so I'm just going to show you. And so, yeah, what I did before was I just put this here is basically to that. So just to be safe, I'm going to go to the fourth line for this. I think scissors might be easier to just cut the tube with. And just start a hole and then go around. But so yeah, for this you really can get two out of the one tube, and just use whichever one is, you know, better shape at the end. So basically, you know, you're going to cut out a hole in this flap for this to go through, and what you're wanting to do with this is, and this is what the rubber bands are for. On this one, I didn't use rubber bands. I actually just put a thick layer of hot glue going around the tube because all you really want is some sort of grip. And I think rubber bands might be better with the grip than the hot glue was because it's a little bit more consistently thick. But if you don't have that, you can totally just do it with hot glue. That's what I did with this one. And so, yeah, you just kind of like put them around the tube or whatever. And so you want to make sure that they're more in the center and not towards the edges because the edges are going to be sticking out of the box. You don't want those shown. You just want them on the inside to kind of do their job. So I'm just putting them on right now to show you guys kind of the functionality of this thing. You can put these on now or later. I don't really think it makes any difference. So yeah, basically this thing is going to, and you can kind of play around with the rubber bands in the ramp location. Now I realize I need to make them a lot tighter, push everything down a bit. Okay. So yeah, just a little bit of adjusting, and I'm really just doing this so I can kind of show you how the thing operates, but once that's in there pretty tight, all right, just shove them all together. I guess that's how we're doing it. Yeah. So once they're all together like that, basically you can see that when you put the stickers on the ramp, first of all, they naturally want to go down. But then as you turn this thing, if this thing is sitting right on the edge where it's flush, this will just automatically grab the next one and push it out, you know? And so that's kind of how this mechanism works. Okay, so the tube, let's go ahead and cut our inner structure pieces. For this, I have to empty my pills out into another container. These ones are really great. I used Ollie gummies. The lids for those work really good as these square handles, and I just painted them and put some foam arrows on them. But before, I just used like a plastic mason jar lid, peanut butter lid, you know, whatever. And I just find that having the pill bottle in between, like I said, has a good structure, but it also gives you a lot more surface area to glue your handle to versus just around the edges. And so, yeah, I'm just going to dump this in here for now. My sleeping pills and my energy gummies. So it's quite the cocktail right there. And then, so yeah, like I said, if it's in there, then, you know, the only space you're going to have left. So once you put the pill bottle, if that's what you're going to do, into the tube, you can go ahead and just use like a scrap piece of cardboard or whatever to kind of just mark how long the pieces that you're going to need to make are. And so luckily this piece, I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half, because if it's a little smaller, it's better. You just don't want it to really be bigger. And so that can be like kind of the side edges for the center piece I'll cut out. So I'll cut a piece of cardboard the same length, but basically twice the width. So then all three pieces will come together like a X. Okay, so I gotta just find a quick small piece of scrap cardboard. I thought I had cardboard here for that exact reason. Oh, here it is. Okay. So just for lack of surface area, I'm just going to use scissors here real quick and cut out basically the inner width of this tube. So what did I say before? 1 3/4. So I'll just use my old handy measurement, 1 3/4. Oh yeah, for the tattoo pop-up that I'm hoping to do for the craft club, I want to do work with the tattoo artist and just do a bunch of tiny little like arts and crafts sewing or arts and crafts supply tattoos, like tiny tattoos that people can get for like $40 to $55, like cheap little options, you know, because from my experience, tattoo pop-ups that have lower price options tend to just be packed the whole time versus the ones that are a little bit more expensive and they'll just get like 1 or 2 tattoos.
Cute. That would be so fun.
Yeah, and I'm like so impulsive when it comes to tattoo flash pop-ups. I'm always just like, sure, I'll get a tattoo, even though like normally I have to like think about a tattoo for like a long time before I commit to it. But they're so tiny where it's like, who really cares? Like, it'll heal quick. It's so cheap. It's not something I have to like think too hard about. And if it's like a cat or like sewing supplies or crafting supplies, like I'm not gonna like regret that, so I'm good with it. But so yeah, basically we're just making first a little like T out of these cardboard pieces, and then you're gonna complete it to make like a X. And so that's just gonna give the inner part of your tube just a bit more structure, so it doesn't just kind of like flatten in on itself. So basically that's going to go here at the end. And then this pill bottle is going to go on the other side of it. So you just want to make sure that once it's pushed all the way in, like it's not like sticking out a bunch here. So like I'm just going to quickly trim whatever is sticking out just so it's not creating an issue, because you're gonna glue another little like round thing on this and you don't want it to be protruding. You want all like that surface area to get contact with the thing you're gonna glue on it. So speaking of that next part, we can basically cut out a circle that's a little bit wider than this, because it's going to kind of create like an end cap that's going to sit on the other side of this ramp so that the tube doesn't pull out, you know, on accident. And before I glue the pill bottle in, I'm going to, you know, make sure it's not sticking out too much. We're going to kind of do a little bit more testing before we get final with this part. But for the end piece, you just want to make sure that it's, like I said, not shoving this part out of it. Okay, so with that being said, we said this was 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do a, I just happen to have these circle cutters from this event I did, and I know this is like 2.75. The only thing is you don't want to make it so big that it like hits the floor of the box. You know, you just want to make it slightly bigger than this. So I was just trying to simplify it, but wait, ooh, I have another cutter. Oh, this thing is actually awesome. I got this like super long time ago, and Martha Stewart, bless her heart, for this one, because it just cuts all these different sizes, and like pretty darn easy too. So I'll just do this, but honestly, you can just take your tube and then just draw a little bit of a border around it. It does not have to be perfect or anything. You're not going to see it. So, but yeah, I will just quickly use this to get a nice circle. Oh, and what did I say? A little bit bigger than this is 1.75 inches. So let's do 2 inches. We can always go smaller. All right, and then on this thing, I just find my 2-inch mark and go ahead and put that down, and then, oh, I need more grip when I'm doing this, maybe. Okay, there we go. 2-inch mark. Where are you? There you are. So yeah, you basically just put this in, and it's like one of those spirographs, and you just keep it steady and spin the interior part around, and it makes you like a perfect circle. Okay, so that didn't go through both layers of cardboard, but that's fine because I didn't want to cut my table. So now that I have my circle there, obviously you could just do this with a compass and an eraser as well. But yeah, that little tool is handy dandy. If you come across that in your thrifting, definitely grab it. It's great. I just don't know how the hell you'll get refill blades once it gets dull, but say love you. Okay, so now I'm just cutting this circle all the way out so we can stick it on. Oh, there goes my pill bottle into the abyss. Gosh darn it, I need a bigger workspace. Can't live like this. I actually love my husband because he allowed me to turn our entire dining room into like basically a craft studio. So
my entire sunroom is also my studio in the house. Another good husband.
I'm like, we just eat all of our meals on the coffee table. We do that anyway, so it's fine. Okay, so let's get that out of here, and then let me put my cap on while I dig for this thing. Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. So now that this is ready, we can go ahead, and before I glue it again, I'm just going to test it with some tape first, just because I don't like ripping glue off cardboard. It makes a real big mess. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do one of these jobs just for a second. Won't. Okay, so that put on there, that should keep this thing from pulling out once it's back behind here. And we just want to make sure that we're still making contact with the ramp and the rubber bands when that thing is hitting the edge. So yeah, that's totally going to work because it even slid down further. So as long as it's just keeping it from being pulled out, it's good. Because honestly, you don't want it too big, because in case like on this one, if I needed to pull it out, I could, but if it was too big, then I couldn't get it out this hole. So just slightly bigger is fine. And then go ahead and glue. Glue the edges of these a little bit so that it sticks on the inside of your tube as well. Because if you have the pill bottle, it'll be fine because it's sandwiched in there. But if you don't have the pill bottle, you do want it to just kind of stay where it's supposed to stay in there. And then do the sort of X marks the spot and the outer edges for this part. And then put that circular end cap on nice and evenly in the center. Okay, so that is good there. Give it a second to dry, and then pull this out and just do a couple more tests. Move the rubber bands down a bit more. And honestly, if the rubber bands are kind of twisted, like I don't think that matters. It's just going to give it like more edges. And then if it smashes down, like more surface area. So I think it's fine. You don't have to be super perfect with it. So yeah, that looks pretty good. And that feels like pretty good grip. Like when you're spinning it, if it wants to like climb up the ramp, like that's good, you know? Okay, so let's just see real quick. And then when you put your stickers in the ramp, they want to keep going. And the best way, by the way, to load the stickers in is so that a bunch don't come out at once, is to obviously have them a little bit separated when you put them in, and then just have them overlapping like this and not like that, because it's going to try to grab the top thing. So you want them to overlap like this. So let's just try, and boom, looks great. And so yeah, on this one, the angle of my ramp could be a wee bit higher, but it'll be fine once there's more stickers in there. It's a little hard with just two to get, you know, them flowing down perfectly. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. So now to really test it, let's go ahead and cut out the interior slit that is going to be the slot that this comes out of. And so you want to go pretty close to the edge as you can. And this box that I'm using is actually a little bit like warped and dented, so maybe it wasn't the best one, but yeah, just make sure that the slot you're making is straight with the edge of the box. Because if it's wonky, then you're going to be fighting gravity to get the stickers out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move my glue gun and cut this out, and hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. And so seeing that that's kind of warped, I'm just going to use the corrugation lines of the cardboard to kind of be my guide. I probably should be trying to use a ruler. I just feel like it's going to be way too awkward for this space. So just be careful when you're doing it, and apologies that you can't see what I'm doing. But you're basically just trying to make like a 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch slit at the bottom of this box for the stickers to be able to come out, and obviously wider than your ramp and wider than the stickers themselves. So I'm going to make it, yeah, a little bit wider than the ramp even still, because you don't want it coming down the ramp and then like not having anywhere to go because it's stuck on the edge of the box. So I just did the edges going down. I can't really see where they came in on the side, so I'm gonna have to go down it one more time. But yeah, I'm just kind of doing it from the inside, and then once I can see the line on the outside like that, I'll do it again from here so it's like clean on the outside. And then, yeah, that's my guideline from that cut. So here we go. And so, yeah, okay. See, I'm going to make the last of the slits and then show you. And I love this because this is truly just everything that using all materials that are trash basically around your house. So not having to buy a single thing for this is always nice. Okay. So again, I always just, before I start taping or gluing anything down, I just always like to keep testing and testing. So here you can actually see the ramp is sticking out of the box a little bit, which you don't want that to be happening. So as long as it can just sit like right against the lip, then that's pretty darn perfect. Like that's what you're going to want. So let me just kind of wedge it in there. And yeah, so there is a little bit of the edge of the cardboard there that's still there, but we can fix that. Like one, when you're doing your contact paper, you can kind of make like a smooth all-in-one surface ramp. Just make sure you're using contact paper that still has some stick left to it, because this is really annoying the crap out of me, and I wish I would have taped it upwards and not just relied on the adhesive from the contact paper. But yeah, so let's do another test real quick. Stickers. Tube. And yay! It works! So if you're getting that result, then you can go ahead and glue your ramp in place, but I don't know. I always feel like I should just wait to do that till the very last second because I'm always just nervous. But before I do that, maybe I'll go ahead and cut the back door out so that you can kind of have a little bit of room to grab the back of the ramp if you need to when you're gluing and stuff. So I already marked where that door is going to be. So let me just cut 3 edges of the door out so that this edge remains like a hinge. And honestly, you don't need to even cut this far down. The door only needs to be as high as it needs to be for you to load the stickers in. So I might even just make the door a little smaller. But for the sake of like assembling it and gluing it, you can make it longer. It really doesn't make a difference. I just found on this one, I did them a little bit higher and I was still able to kind of get my fingers in there and do what I needed to do. I just don't want to mess with the integrity of the like frame of the box so much. So, you know, you go an inch above that. So maybe that's what I'll do. Okay, so I'll go an inch above that so I can still access the bottom. And again, this is in the back, so it doesn't need to be super neat, but you don't want it to like be super shredded, because then the box kind of won't like, or the door won't stay closed, you know, so you want it to be a pretty nice, clean cut, even if it's not like the perfect straight line or perfect 90-degree angle or whatever, you know. Okay, so again, I like to kind of just see where I'm at on the facing side of the box and then finish my cuts there. So again, I'll go one more, just make sure which line I'm looking at. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be the line I created, and now I'm just going to complete the door and pop that out. Oh, finish scoring every edge. So now you have a little refill door that you can open and close as needed to refill your stickers. Okay, and so now we've got this going on. We can see where we're at here. For mine, because my box of the front of my box is a little crumpled, I'm finding that if I put the tip of the ramp in first and then kind of squeeze the back edge, it's nice and tight. and wants to kind of just stay there, but obviously we're still going to glue her down. No glue on the front of the ramp. Again, you don't want anything creating friction there. So if you do need to like put it down somehow, make like a nice clean piece of tape that can be like just another slippery surface for the stickers to slide down. Okay, so I think that I'm in pretty good shape here with my location of my ramp. So I'm just going to kind of like tilt this up while I work. If you can see, I'm just tilting the ramp up, but kind of keeping it where it needs to be there. You can even throw a piece of tape in there, but I'm just going to do the legs of the ramp and not the box, because this makes more sense to me. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but I'm just doing the glue on the... Did my hot glue gun turn off? It's like so weak. Okay, 1 second. I am gonna tape this up real quick while my hot glue gun heats back up. I'm like, I like that this hot glue gun has an on-off button, but then half of the time it just accidentally gets turned off, and then I'm like, oh. Okay, so let me just get her nice and tight here, and then just do like a little piece of tape or something here while I glue. Okay, so this is way easier to glue at this angle. Okay, so now let me just do this. A little bit of glue on the legs of the ramp. And this glue is not super melted, so I gotta work quick. I think it's a low temp kids hot glue gun. But okay, so now get it nice and tight and make sure everything is nice and level and good where it's supposed to be. I feel like this glue is already okay. It's already dry before it even made contact. And then just make sure that the ramp is facing straight out. The back, if it's not completely straight, that doesn't matter. The front needs to just be straight. So hold that there while it dries. Hopefully the glue is working. And just for, nope, it did not hold. So just for extra reinforcements now, I'm going to just go here. And there's not going to be a lot of weight or anything crazy on this. So if you don't get the inside back part like glued down super crazy and good, like don't stress. Not a big deal. Okay. So now that that is gluing in place, I have to hold this for a minute while we work. So I won't do another test until it is dry. How's everybody else's coming along?
Okay. All right. So I think I'm actually in okay shape. I really messed up the bottom of this and meant really ham on painter's tape, so I wasn't sure if this was gonna work, but I actually think it can. The stickers look like they're coming out.
Okay.
So, oops.
Awesome.
I
Okay.
think it's all right. Yeah.
And like I said, like this one like is not the best operating one, but it still works for what it needs to do. And it's literally a cardboard craft. So it's like, you know, I don't think people that are coming to the event are going to be like, oh my God, I have to like crank the thing 3 times to get the thing out. Like, oh, what a disaster. So anyway, I think that this is nice and tight in there. And I think that looks pretty good. The other side could be a little bit more secure, so I'm not going to worry about going in the whole way down the ramp. I'm just kind of going to secure this back leg a little bit here. And I do have popsicle sticks somewhere that I can use for this. Oh wait, I have these. Haha. Little finger protectors from the Dollar Tree, so you can kind of like use your fingertip to smear it, and they're silicone, so you can just peel it off afterwards. Okay, so that's fine. Just let that dry for a second. Okay, and then So yeah, the interior mechanism, like we're basically almost done with this build other than, you know, decorating and just closing her up. But, you know, getting this thing, hold on, I'm going to trim the edges of this while I let that glue dry. Getting the hole placed for the door. Now this can be a little tricky. You definitely want to make sure that, you know, the rubber bands are still making full contact with the ramp, and that the handles aren't like sagging down or, you know, tilting up too far. If they're sagging down, then it's not going to make proper contact with the stickers. And so I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to trim this now that, you know, I'm going in here and looking at it. So once it's closed, say it comes out to about there. So yeah, I would say you really don't need a ton of slack sticking out. So for this, if it's like that, just so I can mark it easy, I'm just going to add a 1/2 inch or so. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm adding a 1/2 inch to whatever, you know, if this tube end is sitting at the inside of the box on its side and this thing is closed, just basically adding a 1/2 inch to that. Because if this rests there, yeah, that's pretty good. Even if you put this on it, let's see. With the bigger cap, I'd go maybe a little bit bigger than a 1/2 inch. I mean, yeah, maybe like 3/8 of an inch. So you can always cut more. You can't cut less. So that's what I always say. Oh crap. Also, actually, I can't cut any more off because I already glued that little inner in place. So I always am like, wait, just see. But then that just means I won't use the inner part of the tube on mine. But if you guys already went that far and it's fine, you can always, you know, just pull out the little X thing and then just reglue it if you need to. Or just use like a bigger cap like I did to kind of make up for the difference. But it's all aesthetic. It's not going to mess with the functionality whatsoever. So just keep that in mind. So let's see if that does stick out that much. Yeah, see, that is a bit much. So let me see if I cut anything off. Is it going to go down at all? No. And then the next logical step would just be the easiest way would probably just to be cut off a 1/2 inch from this side and just kind of use a razor blade. But for the sake of this and just continuing going, I'm just going to keep it as is. And so, yeah, basically you are going to want this thing to kind of just be at like the very bottom corner of here. So if you're using that logic, then it's basically kind of like this round piece at the edge, back edge of this is going to kind of be your guide. And as long as it's like sticking straight up. So if you just kind of put it in there and tuck it, and then what you can do is just measure from the bottom of the box to like kind of where the edges are going to meet of this circle. So for this one, I really hate this ruler because it has like an extra, I don't know, like 3/8 of an inch, just or 3/16 of an inch on the edge of it for just no apparent reason. Find a different ruler, like just Where's the ruler at the actual edge? God. Okay. Like this one does. Sorry, kitty. Okay, so this ruler actually has the measurement up to the edge, which is what you're going to want. And so for this, I am looking at 7/8 from the bottom of the box. And while it's upright, that is, I was going to say 1/2 inch. So 7/8 and 1/2 inch. So on this bottom flap, you're going to take the same measurements and you're going to say 7/8 and mark that. And then 1/2 inch here and mark that. And then that's basically going to be where the edges of your circle are going to be cut. And so since this is already a circle that's just slightly bigger than your tube, you can use this as your template and just butt up the edges of the circle with those 2 marks you just made. Okay. And so, yeah, this circle you do want to cut out fairly cleanly, just because if it's wonky, then the thing's not going to turn really nicely on it. So there's no real easy way to do this, so I'm just gonna go for it with my blade. I think maybe the easiest way is to just make an X in the middle, and then you can use scissors maybe to cut a little easier, or if you are going to use the blade, at least you get a little bit of relief every quarter of the circle. Most importantly, you just want this bottom part where the tube is kind of going to be sitting to be pretty pretty clean. And for that one, for the circle, you're going to kind of want to cut on the inside of your marked line, just because you do want it to be slightly smaller than this outer edge. So just by a pencil width, because again, you don't want the thing slanting and tilting too much. So yeah, try to make this clean because this is going to be kind of seen depending on how you decorate your box. Using a real sharp blade is very helpful for this. Okay, so got that out. And now we're just going to do some more testing. And so you're going to want to kind of slip it through like that and then fold this flap over onto the spot. And so let's see here. How does that look like it's functioning? And if you need to, you can always cut a little lower down if you need to make contact with the rubber bands onto the ramp. So putting these in, let me see. Yay. Okay, so it's working. Whee! Oh. So yeah, it's the most awkward angle from where I'm filming and stuff, but yeah, you can see here that once you have the stickers loaded, the ramp is making contact. I'm going to cut the circle on mine just a wee bit lower, just so I can make a little bit more contact with that bottom, and maybe just kind of even out the circle a little on mine because it looks a little rough now that I'm looking at it. And then basically after this stuff, you just kind of assemble the stuff. My recommendation would be to, tape this side completely closed so that you're not getting any weirdness with this. But you could leave this open in case you need to do any sort of repairs. And then if you're just doing contact paper or something like that, you can just kind of have a bit of a seam there on the side, or try to figure out a way where you can kind of overlap somehow and make it clean looking, or tape it completely here, cut here so you can open, but like I'd really like to just keep this in its place, because if it keeps opening once the tube is in there, then it's like damaging the integrity of like that backside of this tube if it just keeps on getting like pulled out when it's not supposed to. So yeah, I just do loop it in, just do a little bit more of a cleanup. And yeah, this I used wood contact paper. You could paint it with acrylic paint. I've seen people use like mirrored tiles to make it like disco ball looking. You know, whatever your heart desires. And see, that's looking real jagged, so that's not going to be cute for spinning, but just going to clean it up. And then, all right, functionally, how we looking? Okay, and so yeah, if it tilts down a little bit, it's fine as long as everything's still making contact on the ramp, which it looks like it is, and that's looking good. Now I just wish the box wasn't open so much, but again, that's just like aesthetic, me being a perfectionist, blah, blah, blah. So what we can do now is go ahead and glue this into here. If you're wanting to trim it down because you're really like, that is so long, and you don't want to use the tube inside, you can cut this to whatever you want and then just glue the inside of the lid of the pill bottle so that you have all that contact points on the outside of the cardboard or whatever. But I think I am going to do that for this, and I'm just going to see how big it should be with that glued on. So if that's on there, that's going to, so I'll go a little bit higher than the mark I made. Okay, so now I'm going to take this old one that I had from before, but if you're using a new one, just take the interior of your pill bottle, and I would say glue the inside of the cap, because you might need to use your fingers to smush the box or the cardboard into the cap, so you don't want to burn your fingers on the hot glue. So yeah, do this on the inside of the pill bottle cap so you can make some good contact. And then yeah, you could do this step first and then do your bigger handle or whatever, or just keep it this size. It's, you know, entirely up to you. All right, and so now I'm just going to kind of get that shoved in there and dried and secure, so that when you twist this thing, it's not just going to twist off of the cardboard completely. So I made sure that this hole was, you know, big enough for me to slip this thing through in case repairs or whatever, but you don't want to do it often because it is going to mess with the integrity of that thing. So now that's in there. That looks pretty good. I feel like I do need to raise this up a little though, just because it's a little hard to turn with this on the table surface. So I have just a box that's like this sized. And if you wanted to do that whole like cute coin slot option, you could just take like whatever box you have and create your coin slot in this part of the box and have the back side be open for you to, you know, remove the tokens or coins or whatever. So yeah, I would just cut the slot in now, glue everything together, and then paint it all at once, or contact paper it all at once, or, you know, whatever you're going to do to decorate it. But yeah, so there's your slit for your coins, but it's also acting as feet. And just for the sake of time, I'm just going to shove those tabs back. Okay. So you want to make sure that if you are going to do the whole slot thing, that this thing is like close up to the front of it. And then this part, you can just keep this like this for it to be pulled down. You can even throw a piece of tape on there as like a little handle. Hold on, I'll show you. So you can easily pull the flap down to retrieve the monies or tokens or whatever. So yeah, you could just create like a little tab on there for you to be able to pull it out. So I'm going to just glue that on the bottom of this thing. Coin slot in the front, as close up to the front where the stickers come out as possible. So I'm just going to do glue on this part and then center it to the bottom of the box there. Centered and but closer to the front. So this. Okay, so now you can easily spin this. You have a cute little coin slot there. You have your refill door in the back here, and you could again take a little piece of painter's tape and make yourself like a little handle, or you can even just take like a piece of cardboard that's a scrap and make a little handle on the back of the door. Something like that, you know, so you can just easily open it. Okay, so now we can assemble. I am going to use like a packing tape, I guess. I should have told you guys to grab that as well. Just because hot glue, since there's no inner flaps, you're not going to have a lot to attach it to. So yeah, painter's tape can go here. You want to make sure not to get it in the front in the slit area. Oh, Christ. And yeah, just like you're just closing a box back up, so. And maybe I should have done that before I put the little foot box on there, but c'est la vie. All right, and now I got this side closed up. And now for this side, if you want, you can tape up the edges like I just did for that. And leave the center part open so it's not as intense of a thing to have to open up later if you have to do any repairs. But we'll see how well it stays closed. I think that might be just fine. So yeah, again, if you're doing contact paper or something and you want to be able to like do repairs or whatever later, just don't contact paper over the whole thing and have like a little bit of like an overlapping seam. If you're painting it, I would say just go ahead and tape it all the way up because you'll be able to see that gap here if it's painted. So I'm just going to seal it up because I don't even know if I'm going to decorate this one. This is more of just a demo, but if I do decorate it later, I can figure it out. So now the moment of truth is loading her up with all the stickers, eh? Let me just dump them all out of the back of this. Oh, see, this thing has got some grip. They don't want to come out. So, an easy way to load the stickers in and fan them out so that they're not like just stacked right on top of each other is basically put them in a stack and then wherever the front is, kind of hold a little bit more tightly and just kind of go back and forth and just like slowly distribute them like a little bit from each other, you know, and like just have them be a little bit separated from each other when you put them down into the ramp so that it's only wanting to take one at a time. And once you load some in there, and there's a good amount of them in there, I'm going to Oh my God. See, and a bunch of them are coming out at the same time. So the more you kind of separate them in there, see, and this thing's wanting to just like pull out completely. So yeah, this hole might be a little bit too big. So if I was going to contact paper this, I would just make the contact paper hole not quite as big as the cardboard hole. Just so there's like a little bit of grip here. Conversely, you could probably just maybe use like another rubber band or something just to keep it from kind of like sliding around so much. But yeah, basically there you have it. You've got yourself a little sticker dispensing machine out of household garbage. And again, just from someone who's done this before, when you're using, whatever you're using, just make sure you're not covering this lip with any of your decorative materials. If you are going to use contact paper or whatever, like definitely go inside and sort of like tape it down really well so there's nothing kind of like stopping the stickers from coming out. If I did it again, I would probably just maybe paint the front and then just do contact paper on the sides or something like that, just to keep it from kind of being a pain with that. But I'm gonna like reload her back up and then kind of just spread them out a little bit more this time. But yeah, so there you go. And again, it's still pushing a lot of them out at the same time, and this thing is really loose. So if I was able to fix that, I feel like that would help, because if it's just kind of resting on top, it's not going to be having as much room for more sheets than just the one to kind of make contact with the rubber band. Yeah, it's a fun little DIY. It's easy enough. I feel like kids could do it with supervision. And it would be a fun thing for like trading cards or those ACEOs, like the art trading cards or mini prints, or just a fun sticker to give away at a vendor booth. And it's just a fun interactive thing that people will come up to. From what I've seen online, it just makes it just a cool little element that people really enjoy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks, Fafa. This was really fun. I feel like I need to spend some more time making the friction work. I think the rubber band move is right because I didn't have one, and I did try some glue, but it's like not quite right friction wise.
Yeah.
But this
So
is
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. If you just put even the rubber bands over the hot glue, like you don't have to start over anything. It would be totally fine.
Yeah, I think that's the move. I think that would be like just the right thing. It's fun to see like the thing come together though, and like how it functions, because now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I actually get it.
Yeah. And I
Dude,
think Molly, I told you about that. I was trying to make like a coin operated functioning, like cardboard vending machine box for like prints and stuff like that.
yeah.
And I'm still working on the specs and the functionality of it, but I basically kind of have it here. And I'll just show you guys, but I'm trying to make it so because I'm hacking something that's for like candy bars. And so I just have to keep playing with the different like plate sizes and whatnot. But essentially, it's like sort of like a little machine like this where you press like a lever, and this thing, when you press the lever, pushes back and allows the thing to, like, say this is the print package or whatever, to like fall out the little slot at the bottom. And it only takes like certain size coins. If the coin is smaller, it'll just fall through and come out through like a reject thing. And
Wow.
just like making that, I was like, this is actually fascinating, because obviously this is how analog vending machines work. How else do they know what size coins are, blah blah blah. So it's like really kind of just opening my mind up to this, like the mechanisms of all of this stuff. But my favorite part of this is, I was like, well, to get enough layers of this for the operation thing to work, it's real thick for just like a single print. But I was like, what if I put the mini prints in a pack of cigarettes with like a button and a sticker, And then I make the front of this thing look like a pack of like Marlboro Reds, but instead of like Marlboros, it says like machine, and instead of red, it says like art machine or something on the top. And then like you get dispensed your art in like a little empty pack of cigarettes. I'm sorry, but I would die. That's so cute to
Oh
me.
my God. That's so cute. Your ambition is like so far beyond mine. I can't even begin to imagine trying to figure that out in cardboard.
And I'm like, oh, I've got the thing right. It's just the size of it being right. So I don't know if you just saw that, but yeah. So it's like here, and the coin op part's the easy part. It's just getting the sizing right so that like more than one pack doesn't fall out at a time. But it's like really cool. I cannot wait till I actually get it figured out. I'm like, feel like it would go viral, but I think that about all my videos, and then they get like 300 views. So I don't know.
I've seen that, Crystal. Crystal commented that there's spots that use old cigarette vending machines to sell art pieces. I've
Yeah,
seen that too.
the Artomatics. I love those because I was looking at like the vending machines for prints, the art vend, and there's some affordable options, but I'm like, I mean, cardboard, you can't get more affordable than that, and you made it, so it's a craft in itself, which is awesome. But yeah, that's gonna definitely take some more engineering and prototypes and tinkering before I
Yeah.
quite figure that one out. But
Well, this was really fun, and I like out of the workshops that we've been doing, I haven't been crafting along because they're often using tools that I don't have or need to get, and I've been using
for
the
sure,
workshops to understand if I want to get into those crafts. So this was
for
fun to have a reason to, cut stuff up and make something with my hands. I liked it.
exactly. And it's like, honestly, if it turns out like crap, like it's literal garbage anyway. So just throw it in the trash. Like it doesn't matter. You didn't spend any money
Right.
on it.
Yeah, totally, totally. Well, I'm gonna try to get the mechanics of this to work because we have our own events, of course, where I want to use name tags, and I also have these stickers that I put on some of our packages that would just be nice to have a little spot for
Like,
them, and I think it'd be fun to have
yeah,
around.
for sure. And it's just, I mean, people are always just like, what is that? That's so cool. Like when they do see it at the
Yeah,
bar. So yeah, it's
conversation
definitely a
piece.
conversation piece. Exactly. If nothing else. So awesome.
Totally.
Well, thanks for
Well,
joining
thank
me,
you.
y'all.
Yeah, thanks for teaching us. Really appreciate it. We'll post the video in the next couple of days, and yeah, just thanks for being here.
Yay. Okay. And I can share the video on all my socials and like use the content for all that stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Okay, neat.
Okay. Bye, Crystal. Thanks for
Thanks,
joining us.
Papa.
Bye.
Okay, bye.